Hello and welcome. Happy Saturday to you all around Australia, and if you're watching from any other country, because that's always exciting as well. So today we're going to do a baking class, and I really wanted to do this because it was something that I find so many of us around the country are stuck at home at the moment, and looking for things to do or looking for things to to be able to do with the family and make with the family. And I think this is a really great one to be able to do together as well as doing on your own. So we're going to go through and I'm going to show you in less than an hour, and actually quite a lot less than an hour. I think that you'll be quite surprised how quickly we can do this. But I'm going to show you how to make a batch of dough, and then we're going to turn that dough into 2 baguettes, 2 pizza bases, and about 12 to 15 cheese and bacon scrolls. So I'm hoping that your mouths are watering. I hope that you're excited to join us today. And we're going to go through and get started in a minute. Now I've actually got some bread proving in the Magimix Cook Expert at the moment, because I want to be able to show you from where I start to where I'm going to get to with the dough. So it's a really good opportunity for you to see. Now if you don't have a Magimix Cook Expert, it's okay. I'm still going to show you how to make some amazing doughs, some amazing dough with some amazing product. But the whole process of doing it with the Cook Expert just takes oh, that's my bread, can you hear that? The whole, purpose of using a machine like this is that I can make the dough and prove the dough all in the same bowl. Now you will see I've also got one of our food processors here. Food processors are a great way to be able to make dough as well. They're a really great way to be able to do lots of things. So, if you don't have a kitchen stand machine, then it's okay. These are amazing because it will cover lots of things. So let's get going. So we want to talk about why we bake versus why we buy. So when you're there's a fly I just saw flying around. So when you buy your breads and things, you don't really know what's in there. So there's quite often they've got artificial or things that really you don't want in there. People with allergies have to be really careful as well with what they're buying. I know different brands have different ingredients in them as well. So, this is a really great way for you to know exactly what's going into what you're baking and exactly what you want to be eating. Now, we've got Rose there answering questions for us today. So if you've got questions as we go along, please make sure that you ask the questions. If we don't get back to your questions while we're doing this, we will endeavour to get back to them over the next few days. So feel free to keep asking questions if you need to. I would also love to see the end result if you then decide to actually get on and do some baking. We will post up for you the recipe for today, so you've got all of that as well. And then, happy baking, and make sure that you post pictures and show us what you're doing. So, back to sort of, the baking versus buying. It's so much cheaper to be able to do your own bread. I actually have got started, I've been working on doing sourdough as well, so I've actually got a starter going. So, when you're looking at things like using yeast, so your yeast is fairly instant, okay, so that's the idea of that. When you're doing a sourdough, you have to create a starter, so it's yeast free. So there are people out there that have allergies to baker's yeast, and so sourdough is the answer. A good sourdough is about $8 a loaf, so if you could do that cheaper by doing, it yourself, and a starter for your sourdough, I will grab it, is just as simple as actually feeding this every day for about a week with plain flour and filtered water. So when we get to that stage of being able to make this, I'll make sure I keep you updated so that you know where it's at. So let's get going, because we want to get this on, and I want to show you how simple and quick it is to get our dough. So first of all, our scales. So our scales will weigh up to 10 kilos actually, so it's a really great set of scales to be able to weigh quite a lot of ingredients. And I'm actually going to do 750 grams of flour. So it's quite a lot of flour, and I have to say 750 grams is about the limit. So you'll see what I mean by that when I show you the proved bread. Now, for anyone that's worried, I'm making bread, I don't have a dough hook. So if you are doing this in a Cook Expert, I'm not using a dough hook either. I'm just using the main blade that came with the machine. I need to be slightly taller, don't I? So yeah, I just use the main blade. And the reason that I'm doing that for you today is because if you don't have a dough hook, I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, I can't make this, it's not going to work. Okay, but I'm going to show you that we can get it to work. Nearly there, 750, there we go. Okay, so we've got that in. So in that, I'm also going to add my yeast. So I'm just using a dried yeast. So we're going to add 3 teaspoons of that yeast. Now, if you didn't want to do pizza dough and baguettes and scrolls, you can use this dough for basically anything. So 3 teaspoons. And I also need to say that one of the things I always use in my bread is what we call bread improver. Now, the reason I do that is because it does give your bread a lighter, fluffier kind of texture. The other thing it does is means that the next day, your bread is actually still really good to eat. So it still feels really fresh. And I'll show you some of the ones that I've cooked in advance as well. So that's 3 teaspoons of the bread improver. And then I'm going to add a couple of teaspoons of salt. So we'll just pop in there like that. So you saw how easy that was. We've got all our ingredients together. And we're going to pop that on there. Now, if you want to come and have a look, you can see how full this bowl is. And while we do that, I'm going to get started. Okay, so we're going to go on to expert mode to get started. Now, the reason I'm going to do that is normally in our machines we have functions and we've got a bread function. Because I'm doing such a high amount of dough, I actually want to get this mixed together first using our expert mode by using a little bit more speed. So I'm going to get going and then I'm going to start upping the speed. So if you want to come in and have a look as I do this, and you'll see as I up the speed that my dry ingredients are going to start to come together. And then I'm going to add my water. So that takes about 30 seconds, and now I'm going to flick it over to our bread and brioche in our baking section, and I'm going to let that do its thing. Okay, so we'll get that mixing. So now, this is going to mix for about a minute, and that's just going to get all of that dough together beautifully. Then the machine will stop, and I'm going to start it for another minute, which is the full program of our baking as well. So while that's going, I'd love to know where you're all watching from today. So, give us a shout out, let us know where you're watching from. I'd love to know also if you are going to give this a go today or maybe later. So let me just go through and remind you of the ingredients. And we will send it out, but if you're desperate and you want to get started, so it was 750 grams of flour. Now, when we look at different flours, this is the flour that I use when I'm doing my breads and my pizza dough. I do find it the best. The stronger the flour, the higher in protein that flour is, the better it is for baking bread. So there's so many flours out there and there's so much confusion on what to buy. The other thing to look out for if you're doing, you want that high protein flour, is look for bread flours that say double O. So double O is also an indication that it's high in that protein and a strong flour. Softer flours are for things like your cakes and your pastries. So that's just stopped, and if you want to have a look, that just stops to give me a chance to have a quick look at how my dough is looking, and I'm very happy with that so far. But then I'm going to press start again and get that just to knead for another minute. Yes, so don't get too wrapped up and confused in the types of bread. This one even says on the side that it's a strong flour, but it is high in protein. So the best bread flour to be able to use when you're baking bread. So just a little tip to be able to watch out for that. So, 750 grams of the flour, 3 teaspoons of dry yeast, 3 teaspoons of the bread improver, and 450 mils of water. Make sure your water is lukewarm, and then we also put 2 teaspoons of salt in that as well. So like I said, we will draw the recipe, the ingredients, everything we do up for you today, so that you can see what's going on. So I'll just wait for that. And then I'm going to show you what this is going to look like over here. You're going to get the whole thing today, you're going to get to see it all. So I've also made some of the doughs already as well so that you can have a look at them. But if you want to come over now, I'm going to pull out this dough. So if you want to come in and have a look, you can see how clean this bowl is with all this dough. So do you want to come in? Can you see in the bowl? But you know that your dough's right when it's not sticking all over your hands, okay? So it's still got that stickiness, but it's not actually sticking to my hands and causing it to make a mess. Now, the beauty of something like, the beauty of our Cook Expert is I'm now going to proof the bread in here. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to change the machine and I'm going to set it up to go for an hour. So we're going to up the time for an hour. Now normally if you wanted to, if you don't have a Cook Expert, it's okay. You can do your proving by putting your oven on low. You can also do your proving by popping it in a bowl with a lid. If it's not real sunny in Sydney today, so what you could actually do is, what I used to do, is pop it in the front seat of your car, because it's a nice warm place for it as well. So we're going to get that started. We're going to let that sit for an hour, but rather than making you wait a whole hour to see what's going to happen, we're going to come over here. Now you might want to come in for this. So this dough I proved about an hour and 10 minutes ago. I put in the bowl and it finished just as we started the show, but I want to show you how amazing. So you saw what it looked like in here. So let's go back and show you quickly. This is what this looked like an hour ago. We've now got it going and look at that dough. Isn't that, I hope you're all amazed by that because I think it is absolutely amazing. So now I'm going to pull out that dough and we're going to get going on that. So for all of you that are watching, I'd love to know whether you think you're sort of more of a baker or whether you are more of a cook. So I always thought I was more of a cook than a baker, but I do love doing bread. And that really, was something that I thought was going to be really difficult, but it certainly isn't anything difficult at all. So I do really love this. This is a really nice weekend thing to do as well. It's really great to be able to do things like scrolls for, lunches and things, especially if you're in a lockdown area at the moment. The kids are hungrier than ever. It's like constantly what to eat. So I think I'm going to go back to packing a lunchbox. Okay, so now I'm going to pull that dough out and you'll see it's just going to come away beautifully. Look at that. Off the sides of my bowl. I'm going to pull that out. Now you don't need to be afraid of the blades because they're not actually sharp as such, just strong. Okay, so I've got all that dough out. Now the reason you want to proof your dough as well is so that you get that rise out of your dough, because if you don't, it's going to be really difficult to actually, rise that dough. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to, if you can bear with me, move my machine over. My rolling pin, important. This is what I'm going to cut this dough with. Okay, that should give me enough room. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to now break this into the different components that I'm going to need to do my dough for my pizza and to do my dough for my baguettes. I do also have some rising over there as well. There's a lot of dough going on in this house. So we will show you how to get this done. And this is the important part, I think, too, because you want to make sure that you get enough dough for each of the different elements that we're going to be putting together. So all I do is I just give that a quick little roll out, like so, and I'm going to do my baguette first. So all I'm going to do is just roll it out like so, and then I will just pop that onto a baking tray and let it rise again. Now the reason you want to let it rise again is it's going to double in size at least, and you'll see what I mean when I show you these ones in just a second. And by the way, we've just cooked garlic pizza and it smells amazing. So if you're looking for something for dinner tonight, maybe I should give out my address and the first 5 people that arrive get fed, because there'll be lots of food. Okay, so you can see that's baguette. Easy. Number 2, done. Okay, now I'm going to do a couple of pizza doughs. And again, you'll be really surprised at how much this actually rises. Okay, so we're going to get our, a little bit more for that one. And we've got our pizza balls. See how simple and easy this is to get it all done at once. So you're not having to make lots of different batches of dough. You're just going to have to make the one batch of dough and be able to do so much with it. Okay. Now the favourite in my house is coming up next, and this is the one that people think, oh my goodness, I couldn't do that, that looks really difficult. Oh, so easy. And this is the cheese and bacon scrolls. Now, if you didn't want to do cheese and bacon, you could do cheese and Vegemite is amazing. You could add some pizza sauce or some tomato paste and cheese. You could add ham and pineapple. So many different variations of what I'm doing here. And again, if you want to just, hopefully you can see what I'm actually doing there. And I'm just pressing out my dough. And then I'm going to start giving that a little bit of a roll because we want that nice and flat to be able to do our scrolls. I'm going to have muscles by the end of this week, let me tell you. Okay. Now, just keep flipping your dough because you don't want it to stick to the bench at all. So we're going to just get that going. You can see now how easily it's starting to flatten out. And you want to try to get this as square as possible. Okay, the reason that we want it square is because we're going to actually start cutting strips. So the more even it is that way, the better. If it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. Put that again. Okay. That is coming together beautifully. So can you see how nice and flat we've got that? Okay. Done. Super, super, super simple. Okay, so now, the beauty of having a Cook Expert though is that I got to grate all of my cheese in my food processor. So again, takes the guesswork out, makes it nice and simple, makes it nice and easy. So all I'm going to do is sprinkle on there some cheese. And again, if you were doing Vegemite, my tip is put the Vegemite in a little bowl and put it in the microwave to soften it because it makes it a lot easier to spread. Okay, so as much or little cheese as you like, it's completely up to you. And then our diced bacon. I just buy the bacon, like the shortcut bacon, and dice that up. And again, as much as you like. So, you know, really cup or so of diced bacon. I hope you all have watering mouths right now because you wait till you see the finished product. So we've got that all happening. Okay, so I'd love to know what other workshops you'd like to see. So if you're home, it's a Saturday morning and you think, you know, what else am I going to bake, what's new, I need, you know, some new ideas, let us know what sort of workshops you want us to do. So it might be, you know, based on the Cook Expert with one of our accessories, so something like that. You know, soups and 30-minute meals. We do, you know, our Facebook page. We do a cook along almost every second Thursday. We just missed one because somebody in my household had an 18th birthday, and it wasn't me, sadly. So we will be cooking again on next Thursday, and I'm going to be doing a red wine chicken. It is amazing. I made it last night and I couldn't stop eating it. So I'm going to have you all join us for that as well. So if you are not actually on or haven't joined our Facebook page, it's a really great place to get more information as well. So we'd love you to join us. Now, you might want to come in and watch the magic. Okay. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to use my spatula, okay, the spatula that came with my machine, and I'm just going to cut strips. Now, normally I do it one at a time. The end one's always the ugliest one, so I thought I'd do a middle one. Okay. All I'm doing, can you see? All I'm doing is rolling that up, and at the end I'm just going to stretch that little bit of dough and squeeze it together. Okay. So I'll show you that again. And we're just going to roll it up Give me some ideas of toppings that you think you'd use as well, because I'd love to hear new ideas and really get some really, oh, look at these scrolls. Aren't they just amazing looking? So they're coming together absolutely beautifully. There's always a mess on the bench at the end, and I literally scrape the cheese and everything that's left on the bench and just keep throwing it onto the rest of my scrolls. So I'll just do this one and then we'll move on, because you don't want to sit there and watch me roll. You might actually find it quite satisfying. Okay, but look at that. Look how beautifully and easily that they've actually come together for us. So we're going to now show you what happens when we actually get this all together. So I am going to have to move a machine because I'm running out of room. Okay. I want to show you what else we can do here. Okay, just move that across. Sorry, I know this is boring television. Okay, so I'll move that over to now. Perfect. Are you ready? So, earlier this morning, it's been a very busy day, I actually proved my baguettes. So if you have a look, these are the baguettes that I just rolled out of that dough, and this is what they've turned into. Okay, so look at the size, and that actually probably looks 3 times the size. So you might be looking at the little ones going, oh, that's not very big, but look at them now. They're absolutely amazing. Now what I would do with my baguettes is you need to get a hot, that water's not going to be hot enough, I'm just going to run some hot water. You want to get a sharp knife and you want to make sure that it's hot. Okay, so let me just get some hot water and we'll do that. So the scrolls, you know, looking at this here, what a great thing to let the kids come and help with. To be able to get them involved in doing this as well. Get them to come up with their flavours. Get them to, you know, have that idea as well. They are really, really nice over the next couple of days as well. They're not something that you have to eat all at once all today, but you probably will. But it's going to be something that, you know, in the mornings, just pop them in the microwave for 10 seconds to give them that heat if you want to. Okay, just heating my knife. Now the reason I want to do that is because I want to be able to cut through these. So if you want to come in, you can do lots of different fancy things if you want, but all I'm going to do is just do a couple of slits like so, and that's why you need that hot knife to be able to get through that. You might want to do some crisscrosses. I'll completely leave it up to your imagination. But again, if you make these, I want you to show us what you've done. So we've got that little bit of crisscross there, just some lines on there, and that's as easy as it is to do our baguettes. Our pizza dough. So our pizza dough, we've now, again, have a look at this here. So this is what I rolled, and this is what it turned into. So isn't that amazing? And this is why it's really important to do that second proving when you're doing things like your baguettes and your scroll, even the scrolls. So I do let them stand for about 30 minutes each after, and those scrolls will just get that, and it just gets that extra air and that fluffiness into them as well, which is what you want. So the pizza dough, you all know, I'm sure, how to roll pizza dough. I find it the absolute easiest. Make sure you use lots of flour, but I find it easier to squish with my hands first. The way that I like, the reason I like to do that is because I'm going to get a much rounder pizza dough than if I just start rolling it. So you saw with this one here, we were sort of going for that square shape, so I just started rolling, and that was easy. But with that pizza dough, we want that beautiful round shape, and then we're going to roll that out. Although I'm kind of running out of room, I know, but that's okay. So we're going to roll that out. So I'm going to show you then what this turned into. Now this is where your mouths are going to start watering. And this is, look at that. Isn't that absolutely amazing? And the base of it is nice and crispy. And I'll give you a tip as to how to get it crispy. When you've rolled your pizza dough and you've popped them onto the trays, before you put your ingredients on there, pop them into the oven at about 200 degrees for about 5 minutes, okay? They might sort of start to bubble a bit and look a bit like Lebanese bread, but it just gives them that little bit of cooking. Then pull them out, put all your dressing, your ingredients and things on them, pop them back into the oven, and you'll get that beautiful, crispy, crunchy base, and it's amazing. Okay, so that is our pizza base. Whose mouth's watering? Please tell me. Are you ready? I'm now going to show you what our scrolls look like and what our baguettes look like. Okay, so come on in and have a look at this beautiful, and this is absolutely amazing. Check out those beautiful scrolls that started from these, has turned into these. Our baguettes that we've proved twice, we popped into the oven to bake, absolutely perfect. So amazing, and they taste so good. And as I mentioned, because we're not putting all of those additives and things in there, you know what you're eating, you know that they're nice and fresh, you know that they're absolutely amazing. So make sure you're following us on Facebook, because we want to be able to keep you updated with everything that we're doing. Please let us know what you want us to do. So please let us know, what other topics we can do for you. Do you want to do a class on making staples? So your staples are things like your mayonnaises and your peanut butters, those sorts of things that we use every day. So, that could be another idea. But we'd love you to give us your ideas and let us know what you think. We hope that from today you actually did learn quite a lot. And I can't believe, I'm just looking at the time going, we've done this after proving in less than half an hour. So isn't that amazing? But, if there's anything else you want to know, the girls are there answering questions. I know Rose is on the other end there. We will endeavour to keep answering your questions as we go on as well. But we'd really, really love you to all make sure that you, have a look at through the Facebook page and have a look at the different things we've got on there. Lots of videos, lots of tips and tricks. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to go to our Magimix website and have a look. All of our products and things are on there as well. But the best place to get the answer is to ask us here now as well. So make sure you keep asking those questions. And please, we would love to see what you've baked and how it went. Don't forget, if you're going to do this today, I'll give you a recap on the ingredients that I used. 750 grams of your bread flour, 3 teaspoons of yeast, 3 teaspoons of of bread improver, a couple of teaspoons of salt, and then 450 mils of lukewarm water. Okay, so they're what you need to put on. I ran it in the expert mode first just to bring all the ingredients together, so the dry first and then adding the water as it was on. That took about 30 seconds, and then I used our bread program. If you're, you don't have the Cook Expert, you can still do your dough in a food processor, absolutely amazingly. The difference is obviously you need to then prove it into a separate bowl. We really hope that you enjoyed doing this with us today. If any of my neighbours are watching, it's time to ring the doorbell. There's lots and lots going on here. But so we really want to make sure that you're getting the most out of being at home, the most you possibly can out of cooking for the family, cooking for yourself, enjoying those beautiful fresh products as well. And make sure you keep watching. I think I did mention Thursday night we've got our cook along, and we're doing a red wine chicken, which is amazing. The ingredients will be up on our Facebook page on Monday, so ready to go. And please, join us, and loved having you today. And thank you so much for being here. I hope that you got something out of that. As I said, I cannot believe what we've done in 30 minutes, so quite amazing. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll chat with you all soon. Thank you.